Here we are in the QBO gym, and the QBO gym is a place where we have numerous hands-on exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Each month covers a variety of new topics and scenarios, and to make it a little bit easier for you, we break it down into 4 different sections. So if you are looking to work on your bookkeeping skills, this is the place for you. And if you want to do a deep dive and do some of these on your own, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link after we go through the exercise that is in the description. So let's dive into today's exercise, which is coming from our May Year 1 warm-ups section. At the top here is an animated video to give you a synopsis of what is going on in Craig's world this month. He is our fictitious business owner. Further down is an interactive pre-assessment quiz that relates to the video up above. Below that are the exercises in this section. And at the bottom here, after you have gone through all of the exercises in this section, you will unlock some sample marketing posts that you can use on your LinkedIn to share with everybody what you have learned so far. So let's dive into today's exercise where we're going to practice processing the bank fee transactions. Go ahead and click on that link to have the exercise pulled up. I have it over here on the right side of my screen, so let's read through our scenario. After you have input all the sales and expense transactions, it's time to process bank feeds. This means comparing what went into and out of the bank and making sure there is a correct record of it in QBO. You will need to be in the sample company to do this exercise. Now, if you're not sure how to get into the sample company or get your own free QBOA account, be sure to click on the link in the description. I have the sample company pulled up here on the left side of my screen. This is the dashboard and what it will look like once you sign in. So let's get started with today's exercise. We are going to go to the banking center. So we're first going to work on the checking account. To get to the bank center, on the left navigation bar, we're going to click on bank transactions, or alternatively, you could hover over transactions and then select bank transactions. So that way would be hovering over bank transactions and clicking on bank transactions, or here where it is bookmarked, you can click on bank transactions. Now, if this is your first time in the banking center, you will get a pop-up that looks like this. It's just an informational pop-up from QBO trying to give you more information about what's going on in this area. Go ahead and just click on the X to close out of it. Now, in a real world or in a real life scenario, you would want to double check to make sure that what QBO thinks is a match is in fact actually matched correctly to a QBO transaction. So since you are the one that entered the transactions in the first place, you can usually do this fairly easily with a quick glance. For this exercise, we are going to assume that all of the matches are in fact correct. So let's start with the checking account, which is already selected, and you can tell because the checking tile is blue. So in the all transactions field, we're going to select suggested matches to filter this down to see what QBO thinks is a match. So in this all transactions drop down, go ahead and click on that and then click on suggested matches. Now, there are a couple of transactions that have multiple matches, so let's address those first. If I scroll down here, you can see it says one match found, and this one says 2 matches found. This is the one we're going to start with first. So just go ahead and click on that line to expand it. And note that the transaction date will vary as the sample company is always adjusting. So what you see on my screen, the dates may be a little bit different, and that's okay. For the purposes of this exercise, the date itself, it does not matter. So when attempting to make a match, QBO only searches by amount. So when you look at the options, you can see that the bank description matches the expense recorded for PAM sites. So if we look at here, there's 2 $75 transactions that it is thinking it could be a potential match for because this expense is for $75. But if we look here at the bank detail, it says for PAM sites. And when we look at this expense, it says it is for PAM sites. So we know that this is the correct one. It is already selected, so we can go ahead and click on the green match button. And that one is all done. But let's look at the one for Squeaky Clean Car Wash. Go ahead and click on that transaction to expand it. And you will see there are two here now. This one for $19.99, both of them for the exact same vendor. But with this one, they are different types and transaction dates. So we're going to select the one that matches the date of the bank feed. So there are two different types of transactions and they have two different dates. If I look at the bank feed right here, the date that is here is matching the one that is currently selected. So I know that this is the correct one. Again, your dates may be different because the sample company is always changing dates. So this one is the correct one. It is selected. So now I can go ahead and click on the green match button. And now that one has been matched as well. In a real life scenario, though, you would want to investigate what that other transaction was about later. So now that we only have single matches left, we can go ahead and accept these in batch. And you can tell because if I scroll down, you see only the green boxes of one match found all the way through. So we are good to accept all of these. We're going to click on the checkbox at the top of the column to select all of the transactions. So that's right next to date. Go ahead and click on that box right there. When you do, this black bar will appear for you. You want to go ahead and click on the black accept button. And now QBO has matched all of the ones that were potential matches. There are no other ones on this list, so we're going to go ahead and remove that filter, that suggested matches filter, by clicking on the X next to it. So that is right here. Go ahead and click on that X right there. And now we only have these remaining transactions to review. You remember now that Craig said to expect a refund from his previous bookkeeper, Bessie. So that's the first item on the list. Let's go ahead and click anywhere on her row just so we can expand it once again. And it is not showing as an account right now. It's just showing as uncategorized income. So let's select the correct account, which would be bookkeeper. So go ahead and click into that. You can scroll until you find bookkeeper. I believe it is an expense. Nope. I'm just going to type it in to make it a little bit easier. There it is. It is a sub category of a sub account of legal and professional services. So rather than scrolling, go ahead and start typing it in. Once you find it, go ahead and click on it. And then we're going to go ahead and click on the green add button. So go ahead and do that. And that transaction has been categorized. And now we only have these four remaining. Now, you also recall entering an expense for Hicks Hardware. So why is it not matching? Let's go ahead and click on the transaction. So click on that transaction to expand it. We're going to click on the match field or the button right here. So that way we can see a list of all potential matches. So in this resulting list, there is one transaction that has a similar amount but is off by 2 cents. Remember, whenever there is a discrepancy, the bank is always right. So it just must have been entered incorrectly here in QBO. So let's go ahead and fix that. If we look here, here is that Hicks Hardware one right there. It is for $24.36, not 38 cents. So let's cancel out of this. You can click on the cancel button. I know my video screen is covering it on the bottom left corner, or you can click on the X. Either way will get you out of it. So first, let's locate that incorrect transaction. Let's, from the left navigation bar, hover over expenses and then select vendors. So over here on the left side, here is expenses, hover over that and then select vendors. Let's find Hicks Hardware and then click on it. So scroll down. Here is Hicks Hardware. Go ahead and click on their name. And this is their vendor profile that is appearing for us. If we look here, this is that expense 8 for $24.36. We want to go ahead and click on View Edit next to it. So click on the blue wording right there for View Edit to have that transaction appear for us. In the amount field, let's go ahead and change this to $24.38. So click into that amount field and make the adjustment. We have, if you hit the tab key over, you will see it has been updated by QBO and everything is good now. So let's go ahead and click on Save and Close. That's the green button on the bottom right corner of the sample company. And that expense has been saved. And now we can return to the banking center. So on the left navigation bar, we're going to click on Bank Transactions once again. Go ahead and click on that. And if we scroll down here, you will notice now that the Hicks hardware transaction is now matching. So let's go ahead and click on the match wording, which is right here. Go ahead and click on that. And now that transaction has been matched, and now we only have 3 left for a rental. Now, you don't know anything about these transactions, so we're going to set them aside to ask Craig about it later. Since we'll be working on several accounts, we'll put them all in one category so we can quickly pull them all up together when we talk to him. So we are going to click on the checkbox at the top of the column to select all of these transactions. So that is right here next to date. We're going to click on Edit, which is on the black bar right here. And then in the account field, we're going to click plus add new. So this field right here, click into it and then click plus add new. Now, even though this account will be used for both income and expense transactions, we're just going to create it as an other expense account so that it'll appear on at the bottom of the report. And what we're doing here is we are creating an account, like a holding account, basically, for us to move these transactions to so that when we run a report, we can pull all of them up. And you'll see how we do this as we go through the exercise. But just to preface what it is that we are doing here. In the account type field, let's select other expenses. So click in that down arrow. You can scroll, I believe it's towards the bottom here. Yep, it's the last one. So go ahead and click on that. In the detail type field, we want to select other miscellaneous expense. So click the down arrow, scroll down until you find other miscellaneous expense, and then go ahead and select that. And then in the name field, let's type to be categorized. So delete what is currently there in the name field, type to be categorized. Let me make sure I spelled that correctly. To be categorized. Yep. And then we're going to save and close this. So click the green save and close button. And then we're going to click on apply and accept. So click on that right there. And now those have been removed. They've been categorized for us to that to be categorized account so that we can ask Craig about it at a later time so we can figure out what it's about and then actually categorize it properly once we know. Now let's move on to the savings account. We're going to click on the savings tile to get into it. So that's right here. Just click into that tile. It'll turn blue, which is how you know that you are in the savings account bank feed. And there is only one transaction that is a match. So let's go ahead and click on match right next to it. Once you do, now that account has been all set and we are good with the checking and the savings account. You can see by the green check mark right there, that green circle with the white check mark, you can tell that it is now completely been processed. So finally, let's take a look at the MasterCard account. We're going to click on the MasterCard tile. And if your screen is not wide enough like mine, you may need to scroll over by clicking on this arrow right here. And here is that MasterCard tile. Go ahead and click on that. And you can see this 7 right here is saying that there are 7 transactions to review, which we can see all of them right here. Since there are some that are already having matches found, we're going to click on those checkboxes. So that's next to Bob's Burger Joint, Norton Lumber and Building Materials, and then Tanya's Nursery. So there are those 3, 1, 2, 3. All 3 of those are checked. We can go ahead and click on accept in the black bar. Go ahead and do that. And now we only have these 4 remaining. There are 2 matches being found for Squeaky Clean Car Wash, so let's investigate this. We're going to click on the first one to expand it. Go ahead and do that. we're going to select the button next to the transaction that matches the date. So if I look at the date right here, again, your date may be a little bit different. Whatever date is right here needs to match the correct transaction. So that is the second one that is listed right here. This date is matching this date, and so that is the correct one. We're going to click on the green match button. And now because we have matched that particular squeaky clean car wash one, we now have another one. The other one that was the potential match is now showing as a match because we eliminated that other one first. So let's go ahead and click on match next to that one. And now that transaction has been matched as well. Now you'll need to ask Craig about the final two transactions. So let's categorize them in the to be categorized account. Do you remember how to do that? If you need a hint, you can always go back in the previous steps. I am going to walk through it here. So if you want to pause it and try it on your own and then start the video again to make sure you did it correctly, feel free to do that. So I'm going to click on the top box right here to select both of these. I'm going to click on edit. And then in the account field, I am going to have this in the to be categorized field. And then I'm going to click on apply and accept. And there we go. Everything is all set with that account as well. Those have been categorized in the to be categorized account. Now that you have added several transactions to the to be categorized account, let's generate a list that you can send to Craig. So we need to get to the reporting center. So on the left navigation bar, we're going to click on reports. That's over here about halfway down on the black bar. Go ahead and click on reports. And then we are going to look at the profit and loss. So click on the profit and loss report right there to have it run. Now, because the dates in the sample company are always changing, let's make sure we're capturing all of the transactions here. Sometimes when you are running this, like at the very beginning of the year, it may not capture all of the transactions that we just processed or that we had put in the to be categorized. So let's just make sure that we include all dates so that we fully encompass all of the transactions. So to do that in the report period field, we're going to select all dates. So at the top here is that report period field. Click on that down arrow and then select all dates. And then we're going to click on run report so that it updates the report for us. Now remember, we created the to be categorized account as an other expense, so it will be at the bottom of the reports. Let's scroll down to find it. So we have all of our income at the top here, and then we move down to the expenses. If we scroll down, we will see other expenses right here, and then this to be categorized account that we had created and put those transactions in. So to see that detailed transaction list, we need to click on the total right here, this 1860.01. If I click on that right there, I will now have the list of all the transactions that still need to be categorized. You can see all of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. Now, there are a number of things that you could do with this report, depending on how many there are to review, how familiar Craig is with QBO, how often you speak to him, and so on and so forth. So some of those options are that you could send the report to Craig, and if he is familiar with or comfortable with QBO, he can ask them to categorize. So you could send it to him. If I scroll over, you see that there is this email right here. I could always just email it directly to him. You could also send the report to Craig and ask him to email you with the correct categories. You could also export the report and import it into a Google Sheet that Craig can edit directly with the correct categories. So you could, if I click on this, you can export it to an Excel or a PDF and have that sent to him or put into a Google Sheet for him. You can also print it right here. And finally, you could just ask Craig over the phone or in person to more information about each one, and then update them while the two of you are talking. So lots of different options here, but that overall is how you would process the bank fee transactions. Now, if you like this exercise and you'd like to do more like it, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. We have finished the warm-up section and now we move on to the cardio section with our next exercise where we practice setting up late fees and sending invoices. And I will see you in the next video.